There's no avoiding this. If you want to get in shape, you have to control your diet one way or another, but it's easier said than done. The reason why so many people fail to lose weight is because, let's face it, dieting is hard. And it's not that they don't want to be in shape, there's just so much conflicting information about what a successful diet looks like, and therefore it's really hard to stick with anything. They think you have to cut carbs or only eat meat or become a vegan or eat like a bodybuilder to get in shape, but fortunately that is not the case. The reason I was able to lose 31 pounds as a complete beginner and keep it off for over a decade now is because I did the opposite of what everyone was saying to do at the time. I do eat carbs even at night. I eat 2 to 3 big meals, not 6 small ones. I do snack, and I'm not afraid to eat fast food. And yet I've still been able to get in the best shape of my life, and all I've done is follow a few key steps that I'll break down here today for you. Now, the first thing to do is learn about calories and macronutrients, because this is what's going to make up your diet regardless of your food preferences, whether you're eating keto or carnivore or vegan or low carb or Atkins or Mediterranean. Does not matter which type of diet. All of these things are going to make up what is actually going into your body when you're taking in the foods that you choose to eat. So for example, something like what I do is not really a scripted diet per se, but I focus on calories and protein. So when I eat a meal like eggs and cheddar cheese with sriracha and 2 pieces of toast, and I make a sandwich, a breakfast sandwich, I could have just said that is going to be made up of protein, carbs, and fat, which make up the total calories, which is how you know how to control what you eat in order to get the result. And when I learned about this, I was able to use something like MyFitnessPal to track my calories and my protein and make sure I have those on point, because what's going to happen here is each and every day you're going to go ahead and burn a certain amount of calories just to simply exist. It's called your basal metabolic rate or your resting metabolic rate. Both terms essentially mean the same thing, which all that means is what it takes for your body to simply survive. Now, beyond that, you do things across your day like, walk around a little bit, go to your job, be with family or friends or your kids or whatever else, exercise, cardio, sports, hobbies, anything else. Literally any bit of activity you do across the day is calories burned plus that basal metabolic rate. So when you have those together, what you're going to do is create a calorie deficit by eating less than that. Now, I made a whole video on how to figure out how many calories you burn. You can go ahead and check that out. But for the sake of today, what we're going to do is we're going to set it for a 300 to 500 calorie deficit. So if you figure out through some mathematical equations like the Harris-Benedict formula, or there's a couple other ones out there, that you're going to take that number that you come up with and subtract 300 to 500 from that, and then that's what you eat every day. Now for protein, I say at least 120 grams a day, regardless of body weight, height, gender, age, anything like that, and then up to 1 gram per pound of body weight. It really is somewhere in that range is usually the sweet spot, unless you're going for a specific diet type. Like I said in the beginning, that's really about what you want to do in terms of food preferences. But as long as you're hitting that 120 grams minimum, you should be good to go. And that's the start. That's the foundation, is focusing on calories and protein. And then you can fit your food preferences within that. Now, when I use MyFitnessPal, there's a simple formula that you can use in there. But the thing that gets a little bit tricky for people when they use MyFitnessPal is the calorie estimations tend to be a little bit on the low side, because people don't know how to factor in all the other aspects. So someone who works a retail job where they're walking around all day, and then they also work out 3 times a week, and then they also do like daily cardio for half-hour walks, and then they're also like have a physical hobby, like they're probably going to be in the active to highly active category, versus someone who works a desk job and then maybe still works out the 3 days a week, still does daily cardio. They're probably going to be in the lightly active or maybe even sedentary category, but it's hard to say. That's why you have to do experimentation. So go ahead and watch that other video. I'll link it at the end, and then that way you can figure out the exact steps for that. But however, from there, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and track the calories each and every day, make sure we're hitting the protein, and that's the first thing to do. Now, in terms of foods, that's another big key. This is one thing that I really focused on a lot. So, for example, foods would be eggs, they'd be oats, not really big on oats anymore, but eggs, cheddar cheese, Greek yogurt, chicken, lean beef, like 93.7 is a little bit dry, but it's really, really good because you get high protein, lower amount of fat. Fish, if you're into fish, not really so much myself, unless it's fried, but then it's high fat. Pretty much anything that's like a meat or a dairy or anything like that has a good amount of protein that definitely adds up across the day. Now here, you want to go ahead and manage your portions of each one. So for example, 8 ounces of chicken tenderloins, which cook really easily and they have some good flavor to them despite being really low on fat, is 8 ounces, about 50 grams of protein right there. So if you're going for 150 grams of protein, just for the sake of example, that's a 30-year protein done. If you have 300 grams of Greek yogurt, that's right around 30 grams of protein. We're at 80 already. You have 3 eggs, that's 18. 2 slices of cheddar cheese, that's 10. So we're at 28. So now we're almost at 100, or actually at 100 and about 110 grams of protein right there between those 3 things, not to mention trace amounts you'll get from bread or wraps or rice or potato. Like, there's trace amounts in each and every food that does add up across the day as well. But as long as you're getting those foundational foods, you could use whey protein as well, or other types of dairy like cottage cheese or anything else that you just focus around these protein-based meals. That you build your meals around the protein source, it makes it really easy to hit a lot higher amount of protein than what you might normally do, where a lot of people that I've talked to have like 1 protein meal in a day, and then the rest is kind of like snacks and like high carb foods, and they wonder why it's hard to like recover well and feel good and or build any muscle or do anything at all, is because they're really not focusing enough on the protein amount. So if you can focus on the calorie amount, the total calories and your protein, and you build your meals around protein, it makes it a whole lot easier to stick with it. Another thing to think about when you're building these meals is eating very filling foods. So a lot of like leafy greens, if you like those. Potatoes are very filling. Sweet potatoes have a lot of fiber, very filling. Stuff like carrots. We could really get into the weeds in this because a lot of times people end up having cravings, which are drawn from micronutrients lacking in the diet. But that goes to a whole extra level, because when you're finding yourself craving like something sweet, a lot of times you actually would prefer something like your body would prefer something like a blueberry, where it has a lot of vitamins and minerals in there, and then you get that sweetness from there. But there's a whole other aspect to dieting as well, but we're focusing on the fundamentals here. But eating things that are very filling, have fiber, combined with the protein, makes it a lot easier to stick with, because you're not going to be feeling hungry all the time if you eat foods that are very filling, even though you're technically eating less food than your body needs to maintain this current weight. And that brings me to the third part, which is you want to make life easier for your future self, which what I mean by this is planning your meals ahead. Now, when you do this, you don't have to spend as much time thinking in the moment, because when you get to the point where you're hungry, you tend to make a little bit less rational decisions, because you're like, oh, I just need food. I just need to eat something. What's available? Okay, McDonald's double quarter pounder with cheese sounds delicious, which it does. And then, well, I'll also have a large fry because I have a coupon for free fries, and I'll have a Coca-Cola. And then boom, you're at 1,500 calories, 1,700 calories, like that. And the most messed up thing about something like that is you just ate 1,700 calories, and then 3 hours later you're hungry again because it processes quickly and it's not very satiating despite being high calorie. And then you start eating more, and then you blow out your calories for the day with almost no effort. So planning ahead is going to make it a lot easier for you. You're going to know what to eat, when to eat it, how much of it to eat, and then that way you just simply go ahead and either make the food or buy the food and then eat the food. And then you know you're going to be on track because you had that foresight to plan ahead. Now, for a lot of people, these things are going to be simple. They already know them, but if you don't know them or you're not implementing them, they are going to be game changers for you. Tracking your calories, managing your protein, planning your meals ahead, and building meals around protein just makes your life so much easier to stick to. Not worried about like, oh, I can't eat bread, I can't eat this, I can't eat that. Just make sure you follow these principles and it's going to be a good time. And it's not going to feel so much like you're dieting because you're not going to be stuck eating the same meals each and every day. You just have to make sure you follow these principles and you'll be good to go. Now, with all that said, if you need to lose 20 to 40 pounds over the next 6 months, here's what I invite you to do. Head on over to gainswithgabe.com and sign up with your email address to get my daily fitness insights. And what's going to happen is you're also going to get access to my fat loss guide that breaks down these steps in written format so you can go through it step by step to know exactly what to do. And you're also going to get an invite to our Discord community, which is no cost for the free channels, and you can get even more resources in there to help you get results, but also you'll have the chats and availability to ask questions in there, and I can answer them and help you along the way. So go ahead, click the link at gainswithgabe.com, sign up, and I'll see you on the inside. Thanks so much for watching, and go check out more of my videos.